he will say, why should I open up 10 projects and stretch myself? I would rather do 5 and let me concentrate and deliver the 5. So fair enough. So the stock availability will come down. This is not really good for housing for all as a vision, but this is what is real in reality going to happen in the next 3-4 years. So possibly if we'll again meet in this forum again, we'll exchange the same thing again. So when that will go down, the stocks will go down, and when the supply is less, the prices will go up. Naturally will go up. Good for the developer. Now, whoever is playing the game will say, hey, I could get beaten only if I sell an under construction apartment. Because if something goes wrong, by the time I deliver, 1 square feet here and there, an amenity not being there, some defect or whatever, so I might land up paying 5% of the project cost. It is not just when somebody will take me to RERA, it is the 5% of the project cost which is my fine. So it can be a penalty plus an interest component plus a jail. All 3 can be simultaneously applied if time is really bad for somebody. So the first thing that I look at is the monetary loss. So that is going to be maximum 5%. RERA also provides for an upward of another 5% in the event that he does not comply with the directive of RERA. It will go to the appellate and then it can go up to 10%. So the developer will say, I think I should make provision for 5%, because if my supplier doesn't do a good job, if he doesn't deliver a good product, if there is a defect in the product, if there is a defect in the service, because it doesn't only talk about my product, it also talks about my service that I claim that I'm going to give to my consumer. So I would say, if I'm smart enough, I would say, hey, wait, I'm doing only 5 projects, you know that. He'll say, I want to buy. He'll say, so no problem, come back. 18 months is my delivery. Come 18 months later, I'll finish everything. Come have a look, touch and feel, satisfy yourself, then buy from me. Because I'm more safe. When you buy what you see. So I'm relatively safer if I will sell a ready apartment rather than selling an under construction apartment. And in a ready apartment, anyway I will build in my profit. I'm not going to sell it at a lower price. Because technically, most of the developers would have a good, proper financial closure of each project, because fund availability will be relatively easier, either from the bank or from the fund houses or whoever. You will say, oh, you're RERA compliant guy, I'm willing to get into bed with you, let's start this project. You do all the work, I do the fund. So as long as I'm sure of the closure, financial closure, I don't really have to keep selling in between. I would rather sell when the apartment is ready. I'll get a good profit. So I'll do less work, more profit. I think the developer is on a happier side. So he can really take care of himself.
You know, what you also said, you've kind of addressed every issue, almost every issue that the real estate sector is facing today. You've addressed liquidity. You've addressed the issue of delay. You've addressed the issue of fragmentation within the industry. You're very clearly saying that, the fly-by-night operators will go out. And you're addressing the trust deficit as well. Plus, what you're also saying is that you all will stand to make better profits. Then what is the problem?
There's no problem.
Okay.
So, we're only debating, there's no problem, because those who will go through the law, I don't see a problem, but it is a little skewed more towards the consumer, and it has left certain segment which it should have covered, and just caught the developer by the neck and say, getting permission is your problem. How you go and get it from the government is your lookout. You do it, but do the business the way I tell you. So it's a little not a very healthy, not very well drafted in that sense. Nothing else.
But having said that, what we are seeing is also that governments across the country, and these are civic bodies across the country, whether it is the BMC, whether it is the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation which is doing this, everybody is trying to put in place an auto DCR. There is a uniform building code that the central government has come up with and has asked states to roll out. So somewhere they are trying to address the issue of approvals. I know, I'm sure it's still very difficult and things have not really changed, but a beginning has been made over there as well.
Sorry, Rocky, you want to
react?
In a recent interview, Geetambarji, our CREDI president also said the same thing, that the onus of giving all the utilities and the occupancy certificate is on the builder within the stipulated time period that he's stating or quoting on the contract. But then obviously he's completely relying on the authorities to give him those sanctions on time, even if he does his part of the responsibility. I have a project in Chennai which has been completed. People are living in it for now 6 months. It doesn't have electricity connection. We've done everything that I could do, and everything that we can do to get TNEB, Tamil Nadu Electricity Board, to give electricity meters. Everything.
The funny thing in RERA is you have to specify to the consumer at the time of starting the project which date you will get water, which date you will get electricity, which date your sewerage will be, STP will start. You have to pre-plan. It's like telling a guy, my marriage date may be fixed. He wants to say which date you will deliver the kid as well. So, I mean, they've just gone really one step forward, but it's not in his hand as the date. So it is in God's hand, but of course here it is the corporation's hand. But it's a point. I completely agree with him on that.
It is not even deliverables by the builder himself. It's something that is within his control. These are things that you have to adhere to on the dates and the timelines. That is things which are out of your control. So as Augustine said to start with, that the only person has been left out is the actual sanctioning authorities and the government bodies. They should, and I think eventually this act is going to evolve. This is what I feel personally. There's going to be so many amendments to this act in the coming years that we'll lose track of the amendments because everything that is done like this, first time a regulator comes into a complex, disorganized, non-transparent industry like real estate in India, we'll see a lot of grievances from the consumer, from the builders, and a lot of litigation, lots of litigations.
Sudhir, I just want to add, I just want to sum it up with the one line. The act is like, I go to buy 1 liter of milk in the morning and I come back home with a cow. So how does it feel? You go to buy a liter of milk in the morning and you come back home with a cow. So it's, yeah, so I'm sure all of you are amused. You go buy one apartment and then you hold the builder for the entire project. So it's like tomorrow if we have to change the plan, we have to put up one more building. I'm just going to hold him back. 2/3 of every consumer's approval is required every time that I want to make any little small change. If the market will change, if the law will change, anything will change, I have to go back and come back home with a 2/3 approval. So it's like I just went to buy 1 liter of milk with $30. I came back with a big cow. Jersey cow. So it's it's as simple as that. I can keep milking the builder as long as I want.
Okay, I've been told we are completely running out of time, but I'll take one opinion.
No, just 1 minute.
Yeah, sure.
I think many builders are rascals. And I think this law has come because they have misbehaved in the past. Godrej is a very colony which is just close by. They have delayed it by 1.5 years. And the people who have paid 30%, 50%, 20% have no idea when they are going to complete it. They keep on rolling the final completion date. There have been innumerable cases where the consumers have really had the shaft end of all this. Now today you are getting a reaction from which the builders are now whining and whining, aisa hoga, aisa hoga. Bamboo laga hai to sahan karo yaar, aur kya?
So yeah, on that hilarious note, I'll have to, stop our conversation. We can keep going on, I suppose. But let me just quickly take some questions on the floor, if the floor has any, and you can address it to whomever you want it to responding from. There's one hand there. Okay, one. Please.
Hi, I have a question for Rocky.
Okay.
If you recall, we had the SEZ Act and there was this whole euphoria about SEZs and we kept on amending the SEZ Act until the time that it became irrelevant.
Yeah.
Do you think the same is going to happen with RERA?
There was another act called Press Note 2, if anybody knows what Press Note 2 is. FDI in real estate, 2006, February. The Press Note 2 was a literally half-page document, and it got like 66 amendments. A half-page document, not amendments, sorry, clarifications. Okay? So every time the government kept coming up with clarifications, one after the other. And as it stands today, the press note 2 is a valid press note, but it has no relevance because they removed all the conditions out of it. No minimum capitalization requirement, no minimum built-up requirement, no the minimum the time period is still there, lock-in period. But most of the original stipulations or conditions were removed, but to the benefit for the real estate industry to get more capital. That said it. But as I said, there will be a lot of changes in this act because there will be a lot of litigations from both sides, and then a practical approach will prevail, and the regulator will keep, the state level regulator in each state, depending on what the hardships are there to the both sides, they will continue to, and I hope so, they will continue to amend them to bring more transparency to the industry and bring that faith back which the builders have lost for the consumers.
Sure. I think there's a question there. At the back, please. So Mike can go there.
Good evening, sir. My question is that sir has already compared pharma industry with the construction industry. I would like to say that pharma industry has contributed great towards the corporate social responsibility. And they have taken into account every stakeholder in the society, and the builders who are supposed to be taken care of society to great extent. I would like to say that beyond this act, what builders can do and what they have done to be evaluated at this point of time. Because those who are really used for the construction, they are not providing any type of legal protection, even though legal acts are there. For them, you can easily go for daily wages, you can give insurance according to ESI and other things, which is lacking. Second, there is no focus about sustainable building in this country. You can easily think over it, sir. My question to all of you, those who are in the panelist, if you put direction in this case, that will be a happier part.
I think it's all function of what the margins of a particular industry is. Pharma runs a higher gross margins from the cost of production to the selling prices, so they can afford to do a lot of these things, the R&D and all that stuff. Construction industry is a very capital intensive, very high cost input industry. So leaving the builders or contractors with a very slim margin to do all the other activities that you guys said. Everybody is participating in their own way in CSR, training the labor, complying with the labor laws, with the Provident Fund laws, and so on and so forth. But industry needs to evolve to better margins, and I think for that we're probably reeling with recession or low absorption and no appreciation in pricing for the last 4 or 5 years. Industry has absorbed all inflation, all input cost increase for the last 4 or 5 years. So it's reached at the level where, I don't know, and land pricing is not going down. The compliance cost is not going down. The sanctioning authorities and the entitlement cost is not going down. So considering all these costs, I'm actually surprised how some of the builders are still surviving and driving luxury cars. So, because you really don't want to know the balance sheets of some of the builders. The entire so-called private equity money, the high-yielding NCDs, the CCD structures, or the high-yielding instruments is all going to the builders. No industry in this country can absorb or able to borrow at the high rates that this real estate industry does, because they have no other option. The 18s and the 20%, all the FDI that we see in real estate, or we hear, half of it or most of it is structured debt. It's not equity. So the times are very difficult for the real estate industry. I'm hoping that this RERA could be a positive step rather than a negative step.
So that's it, I suppose. We have taken questions. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for patient hearing, and thanks a lot to the panelists for an engaging time. So with that, we'll close this session. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Check. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, while we come to the end of another very interesting panel discussion, I'd like to once again invite on stage Mr. Sanjay Kaul, DGM Business Development with Somani Ceramics, to please come forward and present the mementos as a token of gratitude to all our panel members. Can we keep the applause going one more time, everyone? Ladies and gentlemen. I request Mr. Sanjay to please present the memento, firstly to our session moderator, Mr. Sudhir Nair, to Mr. J.S. Augustine, to Ms. Kavita Krishnan, to Mr. Rocky Israni, to Solicitor Paresh Arjani, and to Mr. Sunil Parekh. Thank you once again to our esteemed set of panel members. Thank you very much for those enriching set of insights and that wonderful discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, it's time to come to the end of the Realty Plus Conclave 2016. Once again, we'd like to take the opportunity to thank our partners, our panel members, and the Team Realty Plus. But the highlight of the evening, of course, will be the Realty Plus Excellence Awards 2016, which we're about to get started in about a few minutes. So I believe we'll be taking a break as well, about a 15-minute break. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking a 15-minute break. I'm going to request you all to please refresh and rejuvenate with a tea coffee that's being served in pre-function area. And we'll see you all in 15 minutes as we begin with a night that's filled with awards, recognition, and celebration. See you all in 15 minutes. Thank you.